You think you bad? How bad do you really think you are? Are you really bad enough to know what it is that you want? Are you bad enough to go through the challenges in life? Or are you just someone that like to fake the funk? Pretending to be something that you're not? How bad do you really want it? Do you understand what that means? Do you understand how aggressive you gotta be? Do you understand even when you're aggressive, you still gotta have patience? Do you really understand the work that has to be applied to it? Because you can want all day long, but if you don't apply action to it, then how can you achieve? How can you achieve the greatness that's within you? How bad do you really want it? Do you want what's coming? Or do you even understand what's coming? Can you even comprehend it? A lot of people ain't ready for it. Maybe you're not ready for it. Maybe you're not understanding exactly what it's gonna really take to get to that point in your life where you can accept the fact that, hey, this is it. I gotta put that work in. I got to apply myself. How bad do you want it? That's all you ever talked about. It's all you ever dreamed about. All you did was wait around, hoping that someone was just gonna hand you the keys to the city. No one is just gonna hand you over their keys and expect you to drive. In fact, you don't even have a license to understand what it means to get what it is you really want. So if you're not in the mindset, if you're not prepared, if you're not willing, if you're not able, you can forget about it.
You don't have to have a complicated idea to make a difference in your life. What you need are ideas that you apply.
Most of us go through life sleepwalking, never really discovering our true potential, never enjoying life to its full extent. And so, therefore, I think that there are some things that we need to begin to do to take charge of our destiny.
Joy comes when you're spontaneous. It's really hard to be truly happy when you're not being yourself. And most of us have no clue who we are. And so a big part of my work, if you've ever been to an event, you know, is to get people to do things spontaneously without thinking, because that's when the real you shows up. That's when the energy comes alive. And when you do that, when you start to connect to your true nature, suddenly there's energy available for you to set a higher standard for what you want in your life. That's what this is really all about. And when I talk about standards, when I talk about, shoulds versus musts, think about your own life. I know there have been areas in your life where some point in time you just shifted and you raised the standard and your life changed. Because whatever people have their identity attached to, they live. We live who we believe we are. That's just how it works. It's just kind of like, I'll give you an example. Look at your physical body. Your physical body today is an absolute reflection of only one thing, not your goals, not your desires, but your standards. The identity you have for yourself. If your standard is you're an athlete, then there's a certain amount of strength, a muscle tone, and energy that's available in your body on a regular basis because that's who you are. And so you do whatever's necessary to maintain that identity. Again, the strongest force in the human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves.
So think about this idea. What does it take to be in charge of your destiny? Well, you got to begin to develop some skills, and you got to ask yourself a question. What do you have going for you? What is it that you have going for you right now that's a real plus for you? What is it that you have going against you? What kind of training do you require? What is it that you need to learn? See, you make money only one of three ways in an economy of this nature. You have to have a skill, like I've developed the skill to become a speaker, or have some specialized knowledge, or have a particular product or service that you can provide for the public.
The two controlling forces have directed your life and kept you at times from taking action. And those forces, again, are the twin forces of pain and pleasure. Remember, everything we do in life, we do out of our need to avoid pain or a desire to gain pleasure.
As you begin to look at life, as you begin to look at the things you want to do, decide that you're going to become the active force in your life. Decide that you're not going to go through life feeling like a victim. Decide that when things become challenging, and they are, that you're not going to personalize it, that you're going to look at it, and you do whatever you must do in order to work things out and learn from it. Learn from it. That's the key. I like what Charles Udall said. He says, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. If you've lost your job, don't say that I've been laid off. Just say, I've been given an opportunity by the universe to find my life work. So as you view all of the things that happen to you as an opportunity, now you're taking it from a different perspective. Now you become an active force in your life. Now you are the one, rather than running from things as they begin to change, you become a change driver, because you know that you've got the power within you to make the difference. This force, this power, this energy that you have, that's more powerful than anything that can ever happen to you. You're more powerful than your circumstances or anything that you can experience right now. Decide that you're going to commit yourself to act on your ideas, to become happy. Commit yourself to live your dream. Commit yourself to become the architect of your future. There's something that I heard that Goethe wrote that I love very much. And it really, as you begin to operate out of this consciousness, you begin to experience a different level of living in terms of commitment. He says, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. See, until you are willing to jump out there. Somebody asked me, how do I do that? I said, no. You don't need any answers now. You need to make the commitment. Once you make a commitment, then life will give you some answers.
So what is it though? Why do we procrastinate? Why do we not use our power, which is what we talked about in the first tape? Let's figure out what stops us. The reason is when we procrastinate, it's because we think that taking action, whatever action we're putting off, that taking that action would be more painful than doing nothing or not taking action. That's the bottom line. In other words, by not taking action, we experience less pain than taking action.
Guess what I had to do at age 25 in order to change my own future? I had to change my mind. I had to change my thinking. I had to change my philosophy. I was messed up on what was causing my problem. And once I got that straightened out, that all the stuff I blamed, government and taxes, the marketplace and the economy, and things cost too much, negative relatives, cynical neighbors, once I got rid of that and started going for where the real problem was, which was me, I'm telling you, my life exploded into change. My bank account changed immediately. My income changed immediately. My whole life took on a whole new look and color immediately. And the early results I got from making these philosophical changes tasted so good, I've never stopped the process from that day. And I'm telling you, with a little consideration of the refinement of your sail, by setting a better sail, refining your philosophy, your whole life can start to change from today on. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to wait till next month. You don't have to wait till spring. You don't have to wait till 93. You can start this whole process immediately. I recommend it. Now, some people do so little thinking, they don't even have their sail up. I mean, you can imagine where they're going to wind up at the end of this week, at the end of this month, at the end of this year. Now's the chance to change, process all this information. So number one is philosophy. And we dealt with all that, where we get ideas, personal experience, from other people's experiences. I don't want to get into all those details because we covered that the last time I was here. But philosophy, that's number one.
What is procrastination? It's the opposite of using your personal power. It's being immobilized. It's needing to do something and not following through. I call it the silent killer because it grows on you. It just kind of creeps along until pretty soon it's taking control of your life. Pretty soon you find yourself immobilized in a bunch of areas and you don't even realize it. You don't even notice all the freedom you've given up just because of procrastination.
When you pick up a child, you change their perspective.
Small and steady wins the race.
What's the fastest way to change your life?
You were so focused, weren't you, during that time with that person? I mean, it was some of the happiest times of your life. The most focused times in our life, the less distracted times in our life, also equals the happiest times in our life.
So now you still have 6 hours left. So what do you do with these 6 hours? Do we do 6 hours and eat a little bit, schmooze a little bit, talk a little bit to people and all that stuff? But you can see how much time there is available. If you organize your day, so you got to work hard. I mean, let me tell you something, man. I went to America. I went to college there.
When you pick up a child, all of a sudden they can see the world the way you see it. I don't care what your children have done. There is nothing they can do for you to stop picking them up. Well, my daughter's a drug addict. I don't care. Pick her up. My son messes up. I don't care. Pick him up. I don't care. You pick them up. That is your job, mama. That is your job, daddy. That is your job, grandma. That is your job, granddad. Your number one job is to pick them up and change their perspective.
For me, I think it's understanding how to set up daily routines with alternating brain and body training and killing procrastination.
The little win with your family when you feel like watching TV sets you up for another win the next day. A little win of getting up at 5 o'clock and running your morning routine sets you up for a habit of a 5 a.m. club morning routine. Small daily improvements over time will lead you to stunning results.
It comes down to this, Elvis. I think you have to work hard. Like, just so everybody knows, we haven't gotten into this subject yet.
My saddest day, one day, my daddy looked at me and he said, boy, you too big. I can't pick you up anymore. But when he couldn't pick me up physically, he would pick me up emotionally. He would pick me up spiritually. I had a great dad because he would always pick me up. He would always change my perspective. So my daddy called me on the phone. He asked me a question. He said, son, you had a tough year. What's next? I said, Dad, I'm going to be a hospital administrator. He said, not bad, but let me ask you a question, son. Do you believe you're an NBA player? You can't outproduce your self-image, son. If you don't think so, go take the job.
Working hard is the cost of entry to anything. You know 0 people that are successful that don't work their face off. You know 0 people. Now, they may have money because mommy and daddy made money and gave it to them. But people that actually built their own success, you know 0 people that have had success that did not put in obnoxious amounts of work.
What's the most important key to success? I think it's hunger. It's not getting satisfied. A hunger that doesn't go, a hunger to learn, a hunger to grow, a hunger to serve, a hunger to give, a hunger to create breakthroughs. Most people are hungry until they make a certain amount of money and then they get comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not about the money. It's not about the business. It's about your growth. Because every one of us either grows or dies. People ask me all the time, what does it take to be happy? I say one word, progress. Progress equals happiness, because achieving a goal feels good for how long? A week, a month, 3 months? And then there needs to be something else. And the reason for something else is because you got to grow.
If you really want true bliss, you want true fulfillment, it comes from eliminating the distractions and becoming obsessed. There are healthy obsessions in life. And the more obsessed we are about healthy things, the happier we are. Whether we're obsessed with the happy times of carrying that baby and having that baby, the happy times of achieving a degree we've had in life, the obsession we've had when we were dating somebody and we were so in love with them. These times when we're in the healthiest of our obsessions is when we're the happiest. So I want to challenge you today to make that shift of eliminating these distractions and elevating your level of focus in your life. And remember this, there's 3 things that I want you to be controlling: your state, your story, and your strategy. State, story, strategy. What's your state? Are you in a state of focus? Are you pumped up? Are you breathing deeply? Are you lasered in on something? Are you completely in there? Or is your state a distracted, diverted state?
You should be able to ask and affirmatively answer the following question. Do I want to know more about this than anyone else in the world? Don't get into something unless you plan to be the best. That's my piece of advice. I know that's not going to sit well with everybody. But if you want to have the passion to make something big, to make big change, it's got to be something that you believe in beyond reasonable doubt. It's got to be something you've just got to make happen. So ask yourself, do I want to know more about this than anyone else? Because you're going to have to get better at it than anyone else if you want to be excellent and deliver on the promise. All right, interest over time plus mastery equals passion. That's how you find your passion. All right, you had 2 jobs I mentioned in the beginning. Job number 2 is build your business. Here's how we're going to do it. It's a new world, and a new world demands a new kind of company. Now, the reason that Quest went so fast wasn't just because we had done something to our minds and gotten to the point where we were so angry that we were going to push this forward no matter what. It was understanding the timing of the marketplace and the technologies that were emerging. And the technology that was emerging in 2009, when we first started thinking about the company, everybody thought Facebook was a joke. Everybody thought it was a huge distraction. And what we understood was it was just a megaphone. We didn't pass judgment on it. We just knew it was a megaphone. And it was a free megaphone. And if we could give them reason to say something good within a couple of minutes of an interaction with us, they could have a global audience and tell people about that. So we saw that the timing was right there. And we also understood that people want to have impact. Take this superhero, Iron Man. The movie franchise is off the charts. And what is it? At the same time that you have people occupying Wall Street, you have them celebrating one of the richest people on the planet. Why? Because he dresses up like a superhero and he tries to save the world.
Right? Hunched over, watching TV, looking at your phone, worrying about Iraq, worrying about North Korea, worrying about Trump, worrying about Obama, worrying about an election, worrying about who's in a fight on a reality show, right? All of that stuff distracts us. Or you in a state totally pumped up, totally focused on your dreams, lasered in. Number 2, what's the story you're telling yourself? Are you telling yourself the sacrifice is worth it, the suffering is worth it, that the price you're going to pay is worth it, and that you're going to get on the other side and great things are going to happen and your obsessions become your possessions, and this is the happiest you've ever been before, and your life matters, and you're not some fan of some team, you're a fan of your own life. That when we win, we really win. When you win the game of your own life, you really win. Not when the Patriots or Lakers win, but when I win, and you're telling yourself that story. Or are you telling yourself the other story? Hey man, I hope we get our quarterback on Sunday. Man, I hope LeBron can drop 25, you know.
I went and worked out 5 hours a day, and I was working in construction because in those days in bodybuilding, there was no money. So we didn't have the money for food supplements or anything. So I had to go to work. I went to college. I worked out in the gym, and at night from 8 o'clock at night to 12 midnight, I went to acting class. 4 times a week, I did all that.
When you go through a change of state of consciousness, state of awareness, state of perception, then many people go out of your life that were in before and other people come in. Changes happen in your life. Some of them you don't like, but what it is, it's just the old life created by the old energy field, created from the old perception, breaking down so another one can come in. And it happens because when we change, our energy changes, and therefore what it attracts changes because we are in control. If only we realize that and take it back. And it's interesting, you know, when you start to change your perception and you want to be spiritual, as they say, what kind of goes on in your mind is, now I want to be spiritual, everything's going to change, and I'm going to go down leafy lanes with little nymphs and butterflies are going to drop on my arm, and it's going to be lovely because I'm spiritual now. And what happens? All hell often breaks loose in your life. It bloody well did in mine. And what happens then is we think, if this is spirituality, 2 years into this journey of mine, conscious journey, I thought, if this is spirituality, you can stick it. This is no fun. Because everything in my life broke down. But if we understand what's happening, then the pain of that breakdown can be very, very much diminished. Because what we're putting out before the change are vibrational fields that attract certain vibrational fields back, which we call a life, people, places, ways of life, experiences. When we change and shift our consciousness, there is that transitional point where the old construct, vibrational construct starts to break down so the new one can come in. And if the old one doesn't break down, the new one can't come in. And at that time, we experience it as all hell's breaking loose in our lives. But what's actually happening is the old is crumbling so the new can be. And on a collective level, that is what we're experiencing now. We're experiencing the breakdown of the old collective order as this vibrational change moves on, and it seems as if the world's falling apart. What it gives us the opportunity to do is to break out of the enslavement of the old structure, the old system, and build another one, put another one in its place.
This is strange how an identity evaporates that seemed so solid and real. And so form, we're talking about form identity. That is when you're asked, who are you? Or you ask yourself, who am I? Okay, now is that all there is to who you are? Is that what can be defined through form, what can be that which is form, thought forms, emotional forms, physical forms, a conglomeration of that to get put together for a while becomes what you think is I. Is that really your I, your identity? Or is there something else? Well, perhaps we can just, at this moment, see, as you sit here, right at this moment, you don't remember your past. You don't have to. Let's pretend you don't have one. You have no past. There is no past. Let's say there is no past. Which, by the way, is the truth. Ultimately, there is no past. There's only the now. So, okay. And no future. Let's pretend there's no future. Well, there is no future anyway, but there's only this. So you can't remind yourself, you don't even, unless there's a thought in your head that says, I am such and such, even that you don't know right now. Let's say you don't know anything about who you are. Nothing that you can formulate, conceptualize, call something. You don't. What is left? Is there, what is lost? Nothing is lost. In fact, when you encounter this which cannot be named, which is a formless presence, aliveness, that's you've touched that which is beyond form, consciousness itself. And that is identity. That is where your sense of I comes from. And so you are more truly yourself when you don't remember your past than when you do remember your past. And you are more truly yourself when there's not a single thought in your head than when you are full of thinking about me and my problems. And whenever you feel this sense of I, the light of consciousness, which you can know directly in the stillness that is always there, available to you as the essence, your essence identity, timeless, that's always there, and that is one with universal consciousness. It's just coming through this form.
Straightforward. If you're obsessed by memories of the past, more than 18 months old, and most of those are negative, so anxiety provoking most often, then there's a lot of you that's stuck in the past. And what that means is you didn't map the territory well enough, and the parts of your brain that are alarm systems, anxiety systems, are saying, no, there's holes in the way you're looking at the world. There's holes in the way that you're looking in the world. And you fell in them once, and you don't know where they are, and you don't know how to fill them, and you don't know how to walk around them, and so you can't forget them, and you can't forget them, you can't forget them, you can't forget them. So you have recurring nightmares, for example, or a good example of that sort of thing happening. But in any case, if you have memories like that, you remember them, they make you feel anxious and negative, you're stuck back there. Your body is still reacting as if there's an emergency that could happen again, that you haven't fixed. And it doesn't matter if it was your fault. That's irrelevant because the alarm system doesn't care. Like when your smoke detector goes off, it isn't relevant whether it was your fault. The smoke detector just says house is on fire, and that's a bad thing. And your anxiety systems are like that. If they're tagging old memories with anxiety, then you have to do something about it, or you will be tortured by those memories forever, because that's how the alarm system works. And so maybe you need to go back there and clean things up. You got to figure out, okay, well, how did this happen? What sort of role did I play? Even if it's a minor role, that doesn't matter, because the point is that you don't want to be put in the same vulnerable position again. So anything you can do to strengthen yourself is good. You know, and often if it's a really old memory, like maybe you were a child, you're not a child now, so you probably have a variety of techniques at hand that you could use to deal with a situation like that if it came up now. And so you have to update that part of your brain that still thinks you're 4. And lots of people have parts of them that are still stuck in some traumatic childhood experience. And they don't. I had a friend like that who had a terrible childhood, and I mean really, I've had clients with terrible childhoods, and his was like top of the lobster hierarchy in terms of terrible childhoods. And whenever he had a dream about it, which was very often, he was 5 in his dream. He's 58. You know, he's not 5, but hadn't been updated, so he was still 5 in his dreams. It was a complete bloody nightmares for him. Complete with all sorts of terrible physiological symptoms, really hurting his life. He couldn't get himself updated. And he's much older in his dreams now, by the way. He's up to about 45, so which is way better than 5, you know, because you can't fight back when you're 5, but you can fight back when you're 45, especially if you have some experience at your disposal.
I just listen to God a lot, tell you the truth. God, I have a dream, and God will tell me something. I wake up and go do it. When you have an idea, when something comes into your imagination, God places everything he has for you in your imagination. So when you have something in your imagination, it's actually a preview of a coming attraction that God has for you. So if you've been dreaming of your own business, it's because that's what he got for you. If you've been dreaming of a summer home, it's because that's what he got for you. He places everything he has for you in your imagination. You just can't tell it to everybody. You know why you can't tell it to everybody? Because if you want to kill a big dream, tell it to a small-minded person. Your imagination is real, man. So when I imagine stuff, I act on it. And then to quit worrying about how to get it done. The how-to is none of your business. God in the blessing business, man. The Bible say, ask, believe, receive. Now you got to be willing to work, but he don't require you to figure it out. The how-to is none of your business.
If you do what you can, the Lord will make a way somehow. People say, how did you get here? I did what I could and God did what I couldn't. Do the best that you can with what you have, and God will do the rest.
We all have things that come against us. It's easy to live uptight, wondering how it's going to work out. We tried to figure it out, but we don't see anything changing. But there's a simple phrase you have to keep down in your spirit. God's got this. He already has the solution. You don't have to figure it out. In the natural, you don't see a way. That's okay. He has ways to do it we've never thought of. And instead of trying to force it to happen, you have to let go and let God. Not only will you feel the heaviness, the weight lift off of you, but God will make things happen that you couldn't make happen. Sometimes we're trying to play God. We're trying to make our boss promote us, make the contract go through. But as long as we're trying to force it, then God steps back. But when you take your hands off and say, God, I'm not going to worry about my finances. I'm not going to be frustrated because I haven't met the right person. God, I trust your timing and I trust your ways. My life is in your hands. You may have a good reason to worry about something. You've done everything you can. Doesn't look like it's going to work out. Stay in faith. God is saying, I'm in the process of turning it around. It's just a matter of time before you see things change in your favor.
You shall be tried, but you're going to survive. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Everything is on schedule. Don't worry about your purpose. Worry about your season. Because when you get in your season, your purpose will be clear. God knows how. God knows what. God knows when. There are times you go through a season of mourning, a season of struggle. God has a time already set aside. Did you not hear that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning? Do you not know that God has a wind?
It may not happen the way you thought, but God's ways are better than our ways. In the scripture, a young man named Daniel worked for King Darius. Daniel was so good at what he did, the king was going to put Daniel in charge of his whole empire. But when the other leaders heard this, they came up with a plan to get rid of Daniel. When your gifts come out in great ways, don't be surprised if people get jealous. Some people will try to find fault, hold you back. The good news is, people don't determine your destiny, God does. Don't get distracted trying to prove to them who you are. God will take care of your enemies. They said, King, you're so great. We've written a decree. No one can pray to anyone except you. They did this because they knew Daniel prayed to Jehovah. But that didn't change Daniel. Just like normal, he knelt down on his knees and prayed to the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob. They ran back and told the king. The king was upset with himself, but he couldn't go back on his word. So he had Daniel sent to the lion's den. When they arrested Daniel, he wasn't afraid, worried, panicked. Daniel's attitude was, God's got this. If it's not my time to go, I'm not going to go. He stayed in peace. What you're facing may be bigger, more powerful, but when you refuse to worry, instead you stay in peace, thanking God that He's fighting your battles, you are showing God by your actions that you're trusting Him. One evening, the authorities threw Daniel into the lion's den. These were hungry lions. God made Daniel unappetizing to those lions. God knows how to make you unappetizing to the enemy. What should normally defeat you, for some reason, it can't harm you. It can't take your health. God controls the universe. He controls the enemies. You're not at the mercy of random events, bad breaks. Nothing can happen without His permission. In life and in death, we have to know God's got this.
You don't know what God's going to fight with, but I declare God's going to get you out of this. You don't know who God's going to use, but God's going to get you out of this. In one moment, the weeping turned to laughter. That even the unbelievers are going to say the Lord have done great things for them.
We go hiking in the mountains sometime. They tell you, if you see a bear, don't take off running. Be calm. Carry yourself with a quiet confidence. In the same way, when you face enemies in life, those enemies can sense when you're afraid of them. They'll take more ground. But when they see you standing strong, thanking God when you could be complaining, at peace when you could be panicked, You are sending a message to those enemies. You have no power over me. My God is in control, and if He be for me, who dare be against me? God doesn't deliver us from every difficulty. Most of the time, He takes us through the difficulty. I'm asking you to quit worrying about what you're facing. Quit being upset because somebody did you wrong. Can I tell you, God's got this. God is not just with you on the mountaintops. He's with you in the valleys when you're going through things. The scripture says God is concerned about what concerns you. He's concerned about me. He's bigger than my enemies. He's arranging things in my favor. That attitude of faith is what allows God to do amazing things.
As Confucius said, when it's obvious that the goal cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. That may be the single best piece of advice you're ever going to get. Write that down.
We must unweave every strand of the cable of habits slowly and methodically until the cable that once held us in bondage becomes nothing more than scattered strands of wire.
But all you care about is how bad your day is. All you care about is what you don't have. All you care about is what you lost.
And as Albert Einstein said, everybody's a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. And that's what confuses people. People believe that they're dumb because they're not finding their path. They're not defining things based on what excites them and what they want to live with every day. They're just looking to what the outside world says is good. And I think it's incredible that there are other people doing things that are so extraordinary that we aspire to be like that. But you have to understand the difference between being like someone and trying to actually be them.
It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one to overcome one which is less desirable. It takes discipline to plan. It takes discipline to execute our plan. It takes discipline to look with full objectivity at the results of our applied plan. And it takes discipline to change either our plan or our method of executing that plan if the results are poor. It takes discipline to be firm when the world throws opinions at our feet. It takes discipline to ponder the value of someone else's opinion when our pride and our arrogance leads us to believe that we are the only ones with the answers.
Burn it into your flesh. Tattoo it on your soul. Do whatever you need to do to remember that once you set a goal, once you've decided in your life there is something that you're going to make come true, don't let anything stop you from reaching that. But the reality is, as you go, things are going to get in your way. There will be an inevitable slew of obstacles coming at you. But when it gets so hard that you realize that the path that you're on is simply not going to take you where you want to go, rather than give up on what it was you said you were going to do, find a different path. And in that, when you really make that the cornerstone of your identity, that you refuse to bend or be broken by obstacles, by challenges, but instead you rise to those challenges. You go over, under, through them. You do whatever you have to. You devise any plan to find a way through. Then your life will change.
Now, if discipline is the key word, and if discipline is the key action, then what exactly is discipline? One good answer might be that discipline is a constant human awareness of the need for action, and a conscious act by us to implement that action. If our awareness and our implementations occur at the same time, then we begin a valued sequence of disciplined activity. Now, here's the other side of discipline. If there's considerable time that passes between the moment of awareness and the time of our implementation, then that is called procrastination. Doing it tomorrow instead of today. Procrastination, an almost exact opposite of discipline. The voice within us says, get it done. Discipline then says, do it now.
Anything that's materialistic can be replaced. But when your life is over, it will not come back. So why can't you understand the significance of life? You don't get a pass. You don't get a pass to keep making the same mistakes over and over. You don't get a pass of feeling sorry for yourself. You don't get a pass to saying it's okay, at least I tried. You ain't got time to try. You need to start living your life every single day and be blessed and be thankful and be strong and walk with power and walk with faith.
All right? Don't be like a studio gangster, right? For real, some of y'all, you come from good backgrounds. Like, embrace that. Some of y'all come from good homes, good parents. You got 2 parents at the crib, or you got your mom and your dad both involved in your life. Your grandma doggone took you to church. Your mom prayed with you, and you get out the house trying to act like, you feel me? Like I told y'all, I'm from the shop. You can look up my birth certificate. I went to school too in Detroit. You can look it up. I don't gotta act like I'm hard. I don't gotta act like I'm nothing. Like, I'm going to be who I am. Y'all all came outside. Each one of y'all, when y'all came outside, I did what? I shook your hand and looked you in your eye and said, what's up? And I said what to you? I said who I was and where I'm from. Some of y'all, you big time. You like, whatever. Who is this jerk? Or who's this dude? I'm like, I don't care how big time you are. Hi, I'm Eric Thomas. My grandma killed me if I don't introduce myself. That's just what my grandma taught me. That's polite.
Your potential. Your truth, everything about you is beautiful. Stop letting the ugly things possess you. Stop letting the world shut you down. It is not the world's responsibility to make you better. It is not the world's responsibility to build you up. Find a way, make a way. And keep living every single day of your life. How dare you? How dare you fall back? How dare you say you're done? How dare you say it's over? How dare you commit to the things that are not giving you?
I don't care how much money I got. I don't care how much fame I got. We all humans. Be who you are, bro. Whoever you are, wherever you come from. You come from the suburbs, you ain't got to claim like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you from the north side of Chicago, you ain't got to be, you from the suburbs, you ain't got to be like, yo, I'm from the west side. You ain't got to try to claim something you not or be something you not. Like, be comfortable in your own skin is what I'm trying to tell y'all. That's how I blew up. I wasn't trying to be rebellious wearing a hat. I'm from Run DMC era hat, LL Cool J hat, the Fat Boys hats, UTFO hats. That's the era I'm from. I've been rocking 5950s since I was 16 years old. The shoes, that's my game, bro. I don't do shirt and tie. I think a black man in a suit and tie look phenomenal. I just don't do shirt and tie. I'm from the D. My people worked at Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Didn't nobody wear suits to the plant. We hard hats. So I'm myself, bro, and I'm comfortable with myself.
The ammunition and the strength to carry on. Stop letting your weakness and your fears and your misery and your doubt, all of these things are hurting you. Maybe you're that person that's not fighting cancer. Maybe you're that person that's not homeless. Maybe you're that person that doesn't have nothing else left to give because they have nothing at all to give back. They've given everything they thought they had. And now they feel their life is over. But I'm here to let you know that you are not over. You just gotta get over. And you gotta keep going. Recognize your purpose in this world. We are all responsible